Muchas gracias, Rosana. Desde ya mis agradecimientos para Erwin, Marco, Max, Mario, por todo lo expuesto, comentado, por eh, comentar sus visiones, sus puntos de vista, la estrategia desde su propia y particular mirada. A continuación, vamos a pasar al segundo bloque, un bloque en el cual tenemos una
We'll
mirada
move on to the second block with the technical presentations that will be directed, as I initially mentioned, by Mauricio Valdivia. Patricio Valdivia is the Director of Innovation and Technology Transfer and Professor of the Department of Technical Engineer of the Federico Santa Maria University, Electrical Engineer from the Catholic University of Valparaiso, and Doctor in Engineering in Biosystems from the University of Arizona.
cargos públicos en la empresa privada y también organismos públicos, tales como Endesa,
As
Chilquín.
the work in public organizations, Chilquinta, Corfo, and other national organizations. So Patricio, thank you so much for joining us, for your help, and for giving us your experience in the seminar. So the floor is yours. You can introduce your guests and share the presentations that you have prepared.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Alfredo. Se escucha ya, ¿cierto? Sí. ¿Me
Perfect.
escuchan
Thank
todos?
you, Alfredo. Can you hear me well?
Ok, muchas gracias. Primero que nada, el
Thank you.
agradecimiento
Well,
por
first of all, I want to thank Sigre for inviting
incluir,
us
incluir ¿cierto?
and
De la
including
agenda este,
in their agenda this expert seminar on the matters of hydrogen. I think it's very interesting presentations, as the subsecretary in energy commented. And I think we are in a very interesting moment as a country in the international context. And we'll complement a little bit more from this block, the technology and the hydrogen projects in the world. We have some international guests, and we have some national guests as well. And we'll take a little stroll around the technologies that complement the previous panel. We have our colleagues from market in Chile, and market goes hand in hand with technology. So these panels complement each other in the sense of what we were seeing previously. So I will explain how we're going to act on this panel. This one is more for expositions, and I will do a small introduction with brief introductions, and then we'll move on to the presentations from the specialists. We have 4 presenters, as you know, and we will begin with Dr. Fad and with Vice President of Laurel Energy from Hitachi. And then we will complement with Dr. Maria and Senanguro from Director of the University of Concepcion in Santiago, to then move on to the block on this project of engineering management from Codelco, the Teniente Division, and he'll tell us about the plans in mining, incorporating this energy vector, and then finally give way to Apex Energy and close this panel with a few questions if we have time at the end. So that would be the more or less the work modality. And we will move on. I'm going to share a brief presentation to give way to the specialists and the honored guest that we have today. Here we are. And let me know if you can see the presentation well. You can see it well, no problem, Patricio. Perfect, thank you. Well, to give some context, and it's very interesting what we discussed in the previous panel on market, and it's very important to have this sustained in time. And the numbers on international level indicate that that is the case, and a few projections and studies that we have from certain institutions, the Hydrogen Council, for example, from the year 2050, there's a global demand for energy with hydrogen around the kilowatts per hour. So we're seeing how this affects. We can see the graph mainly from the point of view of storage, transportation, heating, industry in general, new use, and existing use. And we're seeing how it's evolving in the projections. And that agency and this reports that we're seeing, they show how we're seeing the trends. So from the point of view of use, the previous presenters have shown conventional use in the industry, especially having to do with the evolution of conventional gases, methanol, hydrogens are really common use as discussed. There's a strong pillar in transportation, and I'm going to talk about that. Presenters are going to also talk about electromobility with hydrogen. And it's a process in stages with a complete replacement of fossil fuels in terms of decarbonization. And therefore, there is important information here projected in terms of transportation. There's use in electric and storage areas. Everything that has to do with storage begins joining this new energy vector. It's a new actor here, and it's very important for electric systems. And as you could see in the previous presentation, we have mobile applications, the use of hydrogen as a gas, because as we know, this is a gas and can be used as energy. So uses are diverse. And in what concerns SIGRE, it's very important to know the projection of hydrogen, especially in the storage and backup systems, shading, everything that Carissa told us with the business models. So truthfully, this has a very promising future for hydrogen with what we're seeing here. We're seeing regulations. Max Correa talked about some of this, and the subsecretary mentioned that we need to move forward. And without a doubt, we can see a future, and we can see this is projecting quite successfully. Here we're seeing how in applications, we're seeing this in mining trucks, as when we're talking about electromobility. We can see there's a whole productive industry that can be motivated and stimulated here with a great demand as market laws require. And thinking about the demands in mining, and in the market here in Chile, we have a few initiatives in Chile that are already moving forward that I'm going to discuss in this panel, and we can see how the market can, by 2050, reach around $1.6 billion. So we can see this is really an actor, a very important actor in matters of change and electromobility. So we're seeing here that prices of energy are important, and we were already told about the main drive for electrolysis as a main induction element for hydrogen from the separation of the water molecule and hydrogen and oxygen. It's a very sensitive drive on the prices of energy. So as energy costs start reducing in time, well, they'll be much more sustainable in terms of production. So as you can see, Chile is a huge market in terms of solar energy, and wind energy are decreasing in time as well. And we're seeing how the plant factor also helps have a larger production in this sense. So it looks promising from the point of view of cost. It's going to be competitive, and we have to be realistic. And for fossil fuels, to make this sustainable, we are aiming for 1.1. We're aiming at 1.9 but with estimations around 1.3, 1.6, and this McKinsey and company have shown several estimates, and they're all mentioning that the price of the energy, as we're seeing here for the plant factor, is going to be the drivers that are going to make this more sustainable in the future. So as this happens from the point of view of the market and what's happening in Chile, well, in Chile, we are having several initiatives. I told you about the mining trucks. And Victor from El Teniente is going to tell us, but we've had news like this at the press. And Corfo is assigning 2 technology programs for the use of hydrogen in mining. So we're taking hydrogen to 2 projects, 2 programs. And this is led by ARCER with the technological consortium behind it, and the consortium led by the Santa Maria University with the fuel cells technology. So this had already happened 3 years ago. So there's been lots of milestones in between, and we're seeing different business models and applications in mining now. There's been other demonstrative projects at a larger scale, but all of this is relevant to activate and stimulate the demand of hydrogen. And in the same note, but for the full use of hydrogen and with fuel piles. And this is a bit of the consortium that we're forming with the University of Santa Maria and other relevant factors such as Codelco and other technologies and international centers such as Fraunhofen. And as I was saying, we have the Author Consortium, and we've assigned the Hydra project to this consortium formed by CS Idle. And here in Chile, we're having lots of initiatives, and we are aiming several of them to demand in order to stimulate the market and make all of this production and then chain value around it possible. Here, just to quickly tell you about a few commercial models, we have buses, trains. This is from Alstom with the fuel bullet trains. So we're seeing we have several commercial models: Hyundai, Hyundai Tucson. Right, these are hydrogen fueled and then semi-electromobility and batteries. We're seeing that this is going to arrive to Chile soon. So we need to be prepared for productivity and storage and regulation, and all of the other elements are going hand in hand with certification. We're talking about critical mass, human resources, and these are challenges that come hand in hand with this technology. So we have a project here for a hydrogen-based truck added to what's happening here in Chile. Well, so in order not to extend myself too much, and as Max already mentioned, Subsecretary of Energy, we have a national strategy for green hydrogen in order to align the political efforts. And they have interesting proposals from the point of view of the ministry. And they're also working in the regular the regular norms for hydrogen installation. There's work tables, and we're participating in everything that has to do with the regulation of these energies for Chile. So this is happening, and it's very interesting in all senses. So we have the regulations, the new norms, the state subsidies, and this looks very well aligned. And we have the links here at the presentations are going to all be available. We have here the links you can access, and you can see the stages of what we're foreseeing for the hydrogen regulations that affect the storage systems. And we're seeing here the energy storage systems. We're also going to address that with energy storage. We're going to definitely have a certain synergy in this. And all this information of the stages, what they entail, it's quite an ambitious plan. And the ministry is trying to, in collaboration with all the sectors, we're seeing all these regulations to have to start having all paths already, to start using hydrogen in a more industrialized manner. So that's my brief presentation. I want to thank you for your time. And what comes next is that we have 4 presenters, as mentioned, for the bucket from the Vice President of Global Hydrogen and Hitachi ADV. And then we have Marcel Amburo from the Concepcion University, from Victor from El Teniente. And we have of the apex then as
Muchas
well.
gracias por
So
su
thank
atención.
you very much
Entonces,
for
vamos a
your
ver,
attention.
eh,
We're moving on to the next presenter.
va